Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman accused of conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to abuse underage girls, is expected in a federal courtroom today. FBI agents arrested Maxwell earlier this month at a home in New Hampshire, and there's still a lot of questions that authorities want to get answers to from her as they continue to investigate the alleged trafficking of underage women by Jeffrey Epstein. And you may recall, Jeffrey Epstein has been dead for a year, but the investigation continues. So we want to bring in Rikki Klieman to sort of dig into this because, Rikki, Ghislaine Maxwell, the feeling is that she knows all the secrets. She knows what's been hidden away in the closets, and she knows the names of anyone who might be involved. So can you just sort of remind us about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, how well they knew each other, and how far back they go?
Well, they go back decades, as do these events. And according to the indictment, and certainly according to the press conference given by the acting U.S. attorney, Ghislaine Maxwell was not only at one time a girlfriend in a romantic sense with Jeffrey Epstein, but she became his partner, his co-conspirator in all of this activity involving the trafficking of underage minors, first for Jeffrey Epstein's bizarre sexual appetite of wanting young women between the ages of 14 and 18, but also reportedly that Ghislaine Maxwell also indulged in sexual activity with some of these young girls, and that the two of them, Epstein and Maxwell, got these girls groomed, ready, enticed them so that they would be put out for the pickings of other very powerful men.
So, Rikki, explain to our viewers what kind of charges Maxwell is facing and why is she just facing charges now? And why are they different from Epstein's?
She is facing 6 counts in the current indictment. And I say current indictment because it is always possible that other people may be indicted at a later time and there may be another indictment. So of these 6 counts, she is facing a maximum of 35 years. There are 2 counts of perjury, but the significant counts here involve the conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in sexual acts, and also the travel itself, as I say, enticing them, grooming them, getting them ready to do these terrible things, and then putting them in interstate commerce, which brings us into the sex trafficking count. So what we have are activities in New York, in Palm Beach, and in New Mexico. And it is said that now that we don't have Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein is deceased, that the next best thing is Ghislaine Maxwell.
So prosecutors have been arguing, have been saying that she should not be given bail. And in building their argument, they revealed some really interesting details about her arrest. What can you tell us?
What came out yesterday in the briefing schedule, originally the government files a brief. They said, look, she's got all these bank accounts, perhaps as many as 15. She has $20 million that floats through these bank accounts. She has 3 passports. She has contacts abroad. So then the defense filed its response, and it gave a very persuasive case as to why there are conditions that would assure the appearance of Ghislaine Maxwell in court. So yesterday, the government filed its final filing on the issue of detention or bail. And what they said was, wait a minute, the defense filing is, quote unquote, nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And why do we know that? Because the government says Ghislaine Maxwell showed that she was a risk of flight at the time of her arrest. She had had a cell phone allegedly wrapped in tinfoil as a trick to try to have the government not know where she was. That when they came into the house, that instead of meeting them at the door, since obviously there were agents there to arrest her, that she went and fled into another room. The government also makes a great deal about the fact that there were British military guards around the compound, but I don't find any fault with the guards. In fact, we know that Ghislaine Maxwell has been subjected to death threats during this whole year's period since Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. But the government makes a powerful case here. You have to remember that usually the government has the burden of proof to show why someone should be detained, because there's a presumption in favor of bail before trial. However, here, the counts have to do with sex trafficking of minors. So once you have a minor that is a girl, a child as young as 14 years old, what you have is the defense having to show that there are conditions that will somehow guarantee her appearance in court. I think that it would be a very, very difficult task for a judge to decide at this particular point in time to bail Ghislaine Maxwell when the government is saying, wait a minute, we already know that since this indictment has been filed, that we're getting calls that there are other victims out there. And so there may be other charges in the future. In addition, by the way, the prosecution is going to ask that a victim or more will go forward in court today to explain to the court why they believe that Ghislaine Maxwell should be held detained. That's powerful.
And Rikki, doesn't she hold 3 passports? Wasn't she born in France, and that might be an issue as well?
Yes, she has these 3 passports. She has United States, she has France, she has Great Britain. Obviously, the defense has said in their package, a $5 million package guaranteed by $3.75 million worth of property in Britain, co-signed by 6 other people, including relatives and friends, that Ghislaine Maxwell will show up. The problem is when you've got these passports, you have to obviously turn them in. She's going to say that she would take a GPS device, that she would be monitored. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys would agree to any set of conditions that the government wanted as long as she was not in prison. And you have to remember what their argument is. They're not only saying that she's not a flight risk, they're saying if she stays in prison pending trial, that because of coronavirus, not only might she get sick, she might die. So the corollary argument to that would be, well, if she dies or gets seriously ill because of coronavirus in prison, well, what good does that do the victims? The response to that by the government, well, she's 58, not that much chance. She's not someone who is 68. But I think we're going to have to see what this judge ultimately does. The hearing today at 1 o'clock is really a powerful one. And one of the times when I get to say, from all of my years at Court TV, that this is a case where it would really be terrific if we had cameras in the federal courts, which, of course, we do not.
Yeah, definitely. It's bound to be interesting, Rikki. Can't wait to keep talking to you about this as we get more information, especially hopefully tomorrow we'll hear more from you. Thanks a lot.
Always good to be with both of you. You may hear more from me today.